Episode number 433.
So if you go online and you look to see, how much does somebody at the front of the house in a restaurant example
Right.
make, you're going to see data that's based on pay decisions that were made anywhere from 9 to 24 months ago.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about life, dreams, social media, and business.
Well, hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. Folks, I hope you're fired up today, ready to get some fuego in your days, nights, weekends, or whenever you are listening to the show today. But after this show, folks, I think you're going to want to think about the hiring process, what you're paying people, what you're worth. There's so many things that we can do, obviously, on our worth, on our value when it comes to wages, when it comes to money, and it goes both sides, obviously, the business and the employer and the employee. Both are valuable, but now more than ever, we have data. We have so much different things. And I'm bringing you a legend of the game, too. He also was on a submarine. We're going to get into that. Mr. Cary Sparrow. Cary, are you ready to be real?
Yep, I sure am. Thanks for having me. And on behalf of the folks at WageScape, I appreciate being able to talk to your audience.
It is my pleasure, my guy. First, I want to say thank you for your service. Over 35 years of engineering military consultation experience as also a U.S. Navy submarine officer, serving on several nuclear submarines, guys. I was down in San Diego. We saw one of those down there. Beautiful, incredible. They can still keep generating with that nuclear power. Just kind of incredible when you really think about it. And just like there was like 5,500, I think, people they said on one of those submarines or something like that, or something crazy like that. It's amazing. A huge, small city right there, on the submarine. So absolutely incredible. I'm sure experience. Part of submarining, they always say, is that like you're wanting to travel the world. Was that something that was always in your heart as a young buck?
Well, I say if you're interested in going into submarines and you want to see the world, you're going to be largely disappointed because most of the time you're underwater.
Got you.
I was in the Navy after college for 8 years, serving on a couple of submarines, and went about 3/4 of the way around the world and saw almost none of it.
Because it was all underwater.
All underwater.
Wow. Is that an interesting feeling, being underwater like that?
Not really. It's more like, there's definitely... It's a very interesting job, but the being underwater part, you don't think about so much. It's more like going to work in a building with no windows,
right?
So
right.
There are occasionally things that remind you that you're underwater. Like if a hurricane goes on top of you, you'll know.
You'll feel it. You'll feel it down there.
Yeah, and so.
How will you feel it down there? Will it just be like vibrations? Will it be like just crazy movement? I know, because like the rocking of a boat, for instance, you know what I mean? But a lot of us have never been down underwater like that. So would it feel the same way, like a rocking like that? Or
well, normally it's not at all like being on a boat on the surface. It's very, very stable.
Right.
There'll be the hum of machinery in the background, and if you're going really fast, there'll be some vibration in the floor. But for the most part, it's just a smooth, steady platform.
Wow.
But if the weather's really bad up top, or if you're operating close to the surface, then the waves will knock you around a little bit. And
so that's when you
submariners are notorious for being easily seasick.
Oh, wow.
Because it's like, especially when you're on the surface, you're like in a can that just rolls back and forth.
Oh yeah. You get the real effect in that thing. So then after all the experience, I see you have a ton of it also experience after the military. But then getting into WageScape, as far as like what gave you this idea of looking into the data all around, obviously the hiring market. I know as a social media agency, that's one of the biggest things we have right now. Customers are trying to find more and more employees, because you can go build a new restaurant, but if you don't have a line cook and you don't have a hostess and you don't have the people that are willing to do the job, you're out of luck in many cases. And no need to get new customers, because you need to have those pieces in line so that people have a good experience. No one wants to wait at a restaurant for 100 years. You typically want to walk in, sit down, get seated, have your meal, and walk out. You know what I mean? We don't want to, sit there 500 years to get seated. And then some of these businesses there, unfortunately, they're just at capacity because of wages, of payment. I know in California, that's the biggest thing, $15 an hour. And you have companies trying to figure out automation and what can I do differently, but it's never going to change. Wages are a very, very valid and important data point. But what gave you this idea? Because I think it's a really cool idea.
Well, so I started getting the idea for WageScape back like 7, 8, 9 years ago.
Gotcha.
And I'm fundamentally a geek at heart. I've got an engineering background. I've got, an economics background. I was in consulting and on the corporate side. And the information that's available around pay, when you take a step back and you look at it, is just awful. When you look at how that information is collected, you've got these companies that go out and collect information on what companies are currently paying their employees.
Right.
They're required by law to wait a number of months before they publish that. They're required by law to not share which companies the data is specifically coming from. It's
so
based
it's just
on
industry. It's just the whole
cases.
industry and never a specific company. Yeah, gotcha.
So if you go online and you look to see, how much does somebody at the front of the house in a restaurant example make?
Right.
You're going to see data that's based on pay decisions that were made anywhere from 9 to 24 months ago.
Wow.
Using traditional sources. And
and
the reasons behind that have to do with kind of historical limitations for how data was collected. But around 10 years ago, those reasons started to become less and less valid. And I compared what's going on with information on pay to what's going on with like financial information in the markets. You can know right now exactly how much a company is worth. I mean,
right.
You can know how much you're going to have to pay for a stock down to the penny.
Absolutely.
Now. Right. And that'll change by the end of the day. Right. But with pay, perfectly valid answer historically is, if you wanted to know what to pay a marketing manager, for example, is, well, the middle of the range is about 75,000, but could it be as low as 60 and as high as 125?
Right. So it's just this useless, big range of like double the income from 60 to 125 is double the, amount. So it's like, yeah, obviously we all want to go get the 125, but you might be getting the 60, in your market because of obviously the market conditions, climate, et cetera. And 60 for some people in some markets, in many markets, is totally fine. Making $6 grand a month, consistently is a great job for many people, So
I looked at that situation and said, well, that's, garbage, for lack of a better term. There's a better way to do this because in more and more instances, you can just go online and see what people are, hiring for. And
right. Go look at the ad, look at the employment ads.
But that's a lot of work, right? I mean, to go online and
true.
And so the idea was to create technology that would go do that. And so we go out and we look at, millions of job ads just in the US every day. We actually track data from about 60 countries, but I'll just talk in the US.
Right.
Like about 10 million pages a day, and we pull all that together and we put it together in a form that people can actually use, and they can see, for any given job in any given market, how much are companies paying for them right now.
Wow.
And what's that going to look like? Because it takes a while to hire people. So what's that going to look like for the next few months? Because restaurants are a great example. If you're paying, your kitchen staff $14.50 an hour, which is low today.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you.
Right.
And somebody literally right down the street is going to pay $17 an hour or even $15.50 an hour. They will walk.
Right.
Because it's that important to them. They're not, ideas.
It's a job where it's like, hey, no worries. If
there's a lot of
$2 more an hour, like let's go,
right.
It totally makes sense. I mean, it totally makes sense. And fundamentally, many of these jobs, yes, robots, yes, AI, yes, self-checkout. There are things that are going to impact these jobs. Let's be real. But there's many jobs that are not going to be impacted completely for a long time because they want the personality. You come for the entertainment. You come for the experience. You want to talk to the checker. You want to have that relationship with your local, cashier, etc. In many markets, and that's not going to change for a really long time. Yeah, there's going to be the self-checkout to get the fast purchase, but there's always going to be that long kind of the experience. You're there for the experience of shopping. You're there for the experience of the restaurant. You don't want it to be waiting for 100 million years, but we want to talk to somebody. We don't want to enter a robot. The more time, there are a lot of technology now, obviously in restaurants. So they're finding ways in the back end of how to get people paid, obviously with these little, the kiosks and many different things to help speed up the process and maybe run with less employees. But many things it's going to be hard to do in a restaurant, or a car wash or many places like that. It's going to be hard. The robot's going to mess your car up if you get the robots doing it too much. And next thing you know, he's punching holes in your car and you're like, oh my God, it might be a while. Who knows? But it might be a while. Now there might be robots helping get it fasterly clean so that the guy or gal on the final test does a little less work, like in many jobs. But completely automating many of these jobs are hard to do. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a long way. But there's a valid job there, So
well, it's a more complicated job now too, because you took away, with automating things, you took away a piece of this job over here and a piece of this job over here and a piece of this job over here. But now the people that are left have to cover, multiple jobs. Areas as opposed to one, right? And so now suddenly your who you need in those jobs looks different too.
A little higher level.
Where do you find them and what do you need to pay for them? And so companies for the longest time were going along and they could figure this stuff out because wages were going up 2 to 4% a year, which is basically not very much. We enjoyed a very long period of expansion, low inflation in the United States. We hadn't seen inflation like we're seeing it right now since I was in high school, and that was a really long time ago. And so when the pandemic hit, suddenly you had lockdowns, you had COVID restrictions, and remote work burst on the scene.
Right.
So not so much like so you had trouble finding the retail workers, the restaurant workers, the warehouse workers, the folks that actually had to be there, but everybody else now you could find anywhere in the country. And so how do you think about where those folks are and how to attract them and what you need to pay for them suddenly became a very different problem. And then companies, for the first time in like 30 years, responded by jacking up wages in a big way. The advertised wages in the U.S. went up 20% a year for the first 24 months in the after the pandemic, right? Which was unheard of. And
then someone went too fast, and then now they're firing them all. Like they went. Right. Do you think it was like too crazy? Do you think it was like kind of crazy because they were just going free?
I think they were responding. Businesses were responding in the way that they could.
Right.
But and now a lot of businesses are trimming back, but we're still, seeing record numbers of jobs. Added to the economy.
Absolutely. So, and probably more businesses are being created too. So you have tons more new entrepreneurs, tons more of those people looking to hire too. So you even have more businesses looking to hire, I think.
That's right. And it's interesting. I mean, we could talk about the whole remote work considerations for a while, how that pendulum was swinging back and forth.
It just depends on the business, probably. It probably depends on the work climate, the environment, the owner, the founder, the vision. But many of those jobs can be done some of remotely because it can be more efficient. You can get better talent. Hey, you don't need to just focus on your job pool locally. Let's get the best talent in the world to work for you. You know what I mean? Like that makes sense. Like if you live in some small town where there's not many options for people to, hey, I'm putting an ad out. No one's really coming. Let's go out and find the world. That's kind of what the pandemic taught everybody, is that there's just many things outside of just our limitations of our local arena for work. But in many cases, it can't be right for every situation. But it has impacted, obviously, let's be real, commercial real estate and many things because the work environment has changed. Now, more people are working more successfully using the assets they have at their own house, at their own real estate. And then we don't need that extra real estate. You know what I mean? Right. There's a percentage that we don't need. That doesn't mean we're not working harder. That doesn't mean we're not growing and building, developing, et cetera. Yep. You're just giving the people the ability to work from wherever they like, the ability to give them that freedom. And I think people are more happy when they have that freedom. I think they are more happy when they have that autonomy of, hey, if I hit my goals, every role is different. But if in sales, for instance, if I hit my goals, I hit my things, hey, no worries. You be outside, man. You do your thing. You have fun. As long as you're doing your accountability and you're keeping why do you need to be in the office? You're holding me back. Right. You know what I mean? And but then many roles you need to be in the office. So I do think that it depends on the situation. But like you said, more employment than ever. So take me into this, Cary. What type of industries do you find right now are synergizing best with the Wagescape?
Well, so we track data across all industries, right? So
Right.
we track about 80% of all the new jobs in the US and in most developed countries, right?
Wow. So
So
you're just tracking them all.
huge perspective on you talk to a statistician, they would salivate for that kind of sample rate, right? And
Right.
so we're able to see the whole economy, and the story is really different depending on where you sit, right? You've got some parts of the economy. It started with bigger tech companies last year and financial services companies, and then it's
Right.
migrated to other big companies are really rationalizing a lot of what they built up in response to the growth during and immediately after the pandemic. But there's still a ton of companies out there that are growing really fast. Like everything I just said doesn't really apply so much to healthcare. Healthcare has been growing super fast. Their wages have been going up faster than any other sector. Their advertised wages have been going up faster than any other sector.
Right.
But you look, across all other sectors, and the general story is still strong hiring growth, still strong wage growth, historically strong wage growth in particular.
Right.
But that picture may look very different in Dallas, Texas, compared to Louisville, Kentucky. So that's another big part of the story, which is that the situation is now completely different depending on what job you're talking about or what location you're talking about. And it's going to stay that way. It's going to stay different. It's not going to really stabilize out, we don't think.
That makes sense. So it's just based on where you live, as well as obviously what industries you're in. But I was watching an interview, for instance, with the IBM folks, and she was talking about how they've hired tons of new artificial intelligence jobs, which they never had. So just think about all the new jobs that we were afraid of with AI that now we are going to be having for the future. So you might not know about it. You might not be doing it today, but that's why I always say, like, kind of learn a little bit about it with Chat GPT and chat some of these stuff, because it's the future. And if you have some of these foundational skills, it's something you can use to leverage the next job, whether you're a professional at AI or not. Someone's going to have to learn about it. Someone's going to have to do it. And your skills that you have today can be leveraged to get that next job, because most of them are going to be using some stuff like that, and basically having roles where they never had that role 5 years ago. That role never existed.
ChatGPT really exploded on the scene, I think, way faster than I certainly thought it would. But as soon as I saw it, like the same day I saw it, every member of my leadership team, which we're a really small, nimble company, was already trying it out. And I got on the phone with my marketing director and I was like, have you seen this? She's like, yeah, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And stuff that used to take, 2 or 3 weeks is now taking 5 minutes to do, because I don't have to, sit there and brainstorm all the different ways.
The summaries and the brainstorming and all that kind of stuff.
Edit when it comes out, right?
Yes.
And so huge, and it's made it really apparent to a lot of people. Here's some of the potential of AI. Most of AI you don't even see every day. We talk about self-driving cars, but even in existing cars, there's a ton of AI that's built in. They just don't call it that necessarily.
There's a new one too. I saw Slides AI, which is it's a Google extension. So it works with Google Slides. Yeah. All you do, folks, you feed it the text that you want to put it in the presentation. Then it automatically creates your presentation for you.
Wow.
You tell it how many slides you want. You tell me how many slides you want. You tell it kind of the little theme. It looks pretty dang good. We just did one for my sports car business where we're doing a kind of a teaching people about how to sell sports cars on eBay and whatnot and things like that. Just an informational thing for one, to give back to customers, because people are buying cars and maybe want to resell them, etc. But yeah, we realized, hey, there's so many tools out there outside of just Chat GPT, but it's all from using the Chat GPT as an engine. You know what I mean? So it's using that as API and it's using that as an engine that all these new cool tools are going to be coming just to save us time. Hey, we love creating presentations. That takes 5 hours, or it costs you $1,000. Why not pay free? Have a tool, feed it text. If you don't like it, like you said, you edit. You can easily edit this thing. It created 20 slides, I think, in it was just 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can obviously
the amount of innovation that's happening right now is unbelievable in history.
Right.
It's fun.
It's fun.
I know it is, actually.
People say it's scary, but that's when it's fun, folks. That's when it's fun. They always say blood in the streets as an investor. That's when you gotta lean into learning about this stuff.
Yeah.
All right, my guy. Now we're about to take you into our top 10. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's go.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook?
Hey, I'm an old guy. Facebook.
Facebook. And I also saw you on LinkedIn too. We're going to connect on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
Chicken or steak?
Steak.
Steak, baby. Laptop or smartphone?
Laptop.
Laptop. Spotify or Pandora?
Spotify.
Spotify. Movies or video games?
Now you're hitting where it hurts.
Oh, he's like, hey, I like the video games once in a while.
Video games.
Let's go. Reading books or listening to books?
Listening to books.
Listening. Stocks or real estate if you're thinking of diversifying the portfolio?
Stocks.
Stocks. Keep liquid. Oceans or lakes if you're thinking about a vacation?
Hey, I'm a big Navy guy. Oceans.
Let's go. What ocean would you want to go right now if you could go on a vacation? Like you're out of here. No work, all play.
The Atlantic, down by the Caribbean.
Ooh, nice. Beautiful. The waters out there are incredibly, the blue water is insane. It's like so insane. From the West Coast, our water's so dirty compared to when you go out there, it's just like you could see way far underneath. We like to see what's underneath us. Why do you love being you when you're waking up in the morning, getting pumped, energized, ready for your day? Why do you love being you, Mr. Cary Sparrow?
Hey, I got a job in a company that I created with a team around me that's fantastic. I have a family that's wonderful. I live in a really nice part of the world. You know, every day has its share of ups and downs, but on balance, most of my days are pretty up.
Yeah. And that's the best thing about also being an entrepreneur too, is we get control of our time to do what we want to do. Even though some days we're working a lot, some days we're working maybe less because we have more things that we want to do with their own time. But yeah, like you said, the ups and downs of business, of life, but most importantly, that it's I think the best thing about entrepreneurship is that it's always giving us a new challenge. You're never set in just like, I show up and just drink my coffee and then I do this and then I do that. And, you know, it's just never like that in entrepreneurship, no matter what industry you are in. That leads me to my next question. Do you think you'll ever retire from business?
So I've always said I'd never see myself retiring.
Yeah. Like the Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, we're going to the end, baby.
My story's evolved a little bit over the last few months, I would say.
Yeah.
I can see me taking a break at some point, a number of years from now. But
ramping up the team, just ramp it up, take your salary, ramp up the team. I tell my dad, you can still do that with your business. You still run your business. You just take your, you know, whatever you're making, 200,000, 300, 400, 500, 600, whatever it is, 100,000, $20. You take that salary, you put that in employees, and you still, you know, can oversee it. But obviously, you're gonna have to bring in some good folks to you know, you might not replace you completely. You're still gonna need to be there, give your wisdom, but you would have to work a lot less if you still wanted to keep the business. If you don't want to keep the business, then you leave. You just say, I'm out, I'm done. A lot of businesses, they don't know what to do, like an accounting firm or something like that. They don't want to let their customers go, but they don't know exactly how to transition. I know that's something just because my father owns an accounting firm, and I know other customers that own kind of businesses like that. It's hard to transition from those kind of businesses, even if they got 12 employees and they got thousands of customers and whatever. It's still very hard for them to go, hey, how am I going to sell this? Or, hey, when I'm done, what happens? You know what I mean? It's like, it's an interesting predicament because it's a valuable business. It's like, do you want it to go to zero, or do you want it? Because in that business, you have to have a CPA license. So you can't just anyone just come in and run it. Like, you know, so they have to find a buyer, you know, or it goes to zero. They just say, hey, buy and go to find another CPA. It's an interesting predicament. I've heard this with doctors too. Same kind of idea. Some of them are just like, we're done, and you go find another doctor. But then some of them are like, I care about my patients. I'm going to go to the end with them, you know? Do you have a routine on how you start your day?
Yeah, my day starts a little bit before my son wakes up. I come down, I clear emails. I have already looked at the calendar for the day the prior night.
Nice.
So I know what needs to be done. This morning I came in and did a little bit of background research on this podcast. So whatever I need to be doing during the morning to get ready for the schedule. Then, you know, my son's up. I need, you know, pack him lunch, get him off to school.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm try and build in some time to be in the gym when the weather's cold, or like this morning, I was out on a bike.
Oh,
Minnesota's
nice.
Fantastic. For
bikes.
That's
amazing.
Riding around lakes. And then usually back by 9:30, and I'm hard at it until about 6:30 at night. pause
Nice.
for dinner and some time with the family. And then when everyone's asleep, get ready for the next day.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it is almost every day.
That's amazing though. You get to take your son to school. You get those times to bond too. I lean into being a pop entrepreneur, even though I know it's affecting my businesses. I really appreciate the time that I have with them, and I know that it goes by so quick that I got a 2 and a 4-year-old, and it's already flying by already. So I definitely lean.
We turned it into a real advantage when I was about 2.5 years ago when we needed to really kind of grow our team. I looked at people that could join part-time who had family situations or other things outside of work, where they had a strong career but now couldn't fit in a standard corporate box anymore.
Right.
And offered them a chance to come in and say, we're going to do really cool work. You're going to get something that continues to advance your own skills, and we're going to work around your outside commitments. And as a result, not only was able to find great people that were on this, would have been on the sidelines in some cases, but also folks that, over time have just become really committed. So,
yeah, I mean, I found that same in my business. Even if we had to scale down someone, I would rather not lose you. I would rather have you work 4 hours a week doing something you love, stick with me still, do that job, than lose you completely and then have to find someone new, retrain them, etc. Maybe you were at 40 hours a week. Now you only do 4. Life's different, things like that, or vice versa. You were at 4, now you're at 24. Now you're at 30 because you want to take on more. But like you said, the ups and downs of whatever you have going else in your personal life, we don't want to lose you. And that's one of the negatives about this 40 hours or nothing model is I don't want to lose someone. I'd rather have you work 10 hours for me or 5 hours or do something that you really love and stick to just that. And then we'll find someone else to do all the other stuff that was, holding you back from, or you want to do something else with your time, and it makes total sense versus a lot of customers train employees, get them ready. Employees leave. Find new employees, chain again. And it's like, we're always finding new employees. Like, let's just find a way to keep these people somehow. Couple last questions for you, my man. Is there a business or a tool that helps you run your business?
Yeah, there's a bunch that we depend on. I will tell you some free product placement here. The one thing that's made the biggest difference for us, because we launched a browser-based application about 7 months ago.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
To do that. And bringing in HubSpot was without a doubt probably the biggest add in terms of efficiency and capability. That we use lots of other tools, but I would say that we're pretty impressed with, and have really built kind of a number of business processes around that.
Yeah, that company has just grown and grown. I started my agency like 13 years ago now. That company has just grown and grown since then. Since like they started, it's been incredible what they've been able to do for businesses. The amount of tasks and things that they can just take away from your daily, that bogs you down. If you could sit down to a steak dinner with anyone, who would you want to sit down with today?
I don't know if there's a single one.
That's hard. It's hard. Let's get a whole squad. Let's bring the squad with us.
So, boy, I think Howard Schultz, who started up Starbucks, is a pretty interesting guy.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few people in politics that I won't name just because why go down that path?
Right.
But in business, folks like Howard Schultz.
Oh, yeah.
Elon Musk would be a really interesting guy to sit down with. I think.
Yeah, I would too.
I don't know. It would.
He's my top guest. He's my top. Out of all our shows, he's definitely the most interesting guest, I think, because people are fascinated with like what he's thinking about each day.
Andy Weir, who wrote The Martian, is another guy that I would love to. I'd love to sit down with.
I like that. That's a good one. The Martian. I like that one.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's another guy. You can tell I tend.
Oh, hell yeah! Me and my wife love Neil deGrasse. We love learning about the universe and just so much.
I tell you another one that a lot of folks would think is the guy who does the show How I Built This, Guy Raz.
Oh yeah,
is another one that. By the way, free product placement there.
You're giving some plugs, baby. Let's go.
So.
And then tell me, where's are the best place for people to learn more about the business? We're gonna put in the show notes, etc. I think it was from what the one I saw was Wagescape, if you guys look it up, it's under the Greenwich .hr. And so I'm going to put that in the show notes, greenwich.hr/Wagescape. I believe that's how you get to the interactive demo. We'll put in the show notes. Next generation compensation data, folks. It's here. My man Cary is bringing it to you. Well, sir, I really appreciate your soul, your passion, your energy for not only this life, but also for business. This is incredible, an incredible feat, that you did. And you took it the smart way, like, hey, let's go after the job side. Let's go look at what's out there right now and give you the real-time data. That's why we started our business, Real-Time Outsource. It's because life is in real time. Life is literally happening today. Why would you wait 24 months? That's old data. That's old data. Let's get the new stuff, folks. Yep. So go check it out. Check my man out. I hope you have yourselves a great day today, my guy. You said you went on the bike today. You're already feeling good today. But I hope you have yourselves a great day today. Folks, you've been hanging out with Cary Sparrow and Travis, Too Tall and Huff. We want to thank you again so much for your time today, and let's keep being real.
What another epic episode. And if you enjoyed the episode today, can you please do me a favor and subscribe to our podcast, The Be Real Show, on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. And also take a little time today, if you don't mind, and give your boy T Huff a review. I would really super appreciate it. And thank you so much for listening today. Do you want to get featured on podcasts, guys? You can be a guest. And that's right. You have a story, and the people, the good folks at I Love Podcasts. That's ILUV podcasts.com. Do that every single day. This is a new company, guys, in the space of podcast agency. And they realize a lot of the people in the space it's just a commodity, and they don't care. And these folks care. And I literally love Kenny and the team at I Love Podcasts, and they are doing it right for their customers. So you guys can be a guest on a show. ILovePodcast.com. That's ILUV podcasts.com. Let's go.